Sorry about your boy.
Well, his sister slammed the car door on his finger, and it'll be all right. We're just getting it dressed.
Very bad.
No, well, it's pretty badly cut up, you know.
Sound like you got a Democratic sister.
I hope not.
Sitting here with Tom Dewey. He's listening to us talk. I called you. We sent 30 B-52s over a square mile area in South Vietnam. They just dropped their last bomb. We found a concentration of a Viet Cong operation under the brush, hidden, and we think that it's been the seat of direction of a lot of their activity. And there'll be some excitement on the television and radio about B-52s, but our best advice, that's the only way we could get them. The fighter bomber couldn't take an area that big in coverage in time without their getting out, so we moved 52s in from Okinawa. I sent Goodpaster up before the flag this morning to go with General Eisenhower. He thought it ought to be done. He also thought we ought to approve Westmoreland's request for these troops that he needs out there to protect his bases, because we're not going to be able to protect them with South Vietnamese. And it looks like our B-52 raid is a success at the moment.
Did they use conventional weapons?
Yes.
They did. I think this is good.
I don't know what's happened to Laird. Is he off his rocker?
Well, actually, the statement, if it was read in its entirety, I don't think you would disagree with it too much. But they took one sentence out of 20, and I think they distorted it. The one question that I hope we can sit down and talk about before we go any further is how much are we going to use the ground force? I think that's the main question.
Only when and if and as necessary to protect our national interest. And presently we have 12,800 of them up there, down there. We will, it takes about a little better than 3 to 2, because the advisors, we have so many advisors, and we have so many services, and we're building airports, CBs and everything else. And we got about 7,000 to 8,000 combat air people that in our air operation. We got about 12,000 to 13,000 combat on the ground. We'll move those up. That's out of the 54. Out of 54,000, roughly got 20 to 30. We're moving it up to 70 to 75. And out of that, I would guess we'll get another 8,000 or 10,000 combat. Now, those combats will go out. We'll try to keep them distant where they can't lob their mortars in for 3 miles. We'll constantly be on patrol. We'll release an equal amount of South Vietnamese. We've only got 4 to 1 now to do the actual fighting. That when they get caught, when they get in trouble, if they're going to get wiped out, they call us, we'll come to their rescue. They did that last week. Westmoreland said, I got the authority to do it. It's emergency, and I'm going to authorize it. If you want to cancel it, you can cancel it. I came back and said, hell no, I'm not going to cancel it, but I just hate to see 1,200 American boys involved, but this is no Sunday school picnic, and you're on the ground, and I can't tell a commander on the ground that he's got to let his people get wiped out or let his allies get wiped out. That's why we're out there. So
I fully agree with that aspect of it. The only thing, if we're going to do more in an offensive way, you know what I mean, on the ground, then I think we all ought to sit down and talk about it.
well, I'll be glad to do that if I can stay out of the paper. I don't want to tell either the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese, or to tell China, and I haven't been to a meeting yet, that we don't get something out about what happened. But I don't want them, the damn State Department announcement the other day that we had discretionary authority to protect yourselves, which is what's the damn word? Implied in every operation. You don't send a general out and a bunch of damn troops and tell him that he's got to get them killed before he answers.
I agree with you 1,000%. wasn't.
So that's all that happened. I haven't issued an order. I haven't talked to Westmoreland. Westmoreland hadn't asked me to issue an order since he went out there. Westmoreland went out there from West Point because he's the best general we had.
I agree.
His orders when he went out there were to take our people and advise those folks and resist aggression.
Right.
Now, he's not going to get in there in the front line with American troops unless he has to. If he does, he's not going to let them get killed. And that's that simple. Now, they ask this damn fool McCloskey over at the State Department, they ask you, like you're talking about Laird, ask you to quit beating your wife. Either way, you answered in trouble. They said, has Westmoreland got authority to keep our American boys from getting killed? The answer is yes. Well, when did Johnson give him that authority? So this damn fool says, well, I don't know, but I'm sure he got it, and I'm sure he got it before they went out there. Well, they just arrived, you see, a bunch of them. So then the headline read, Johnson enters new phase combat war in Vietnam. So when I looked at the damn paper, I called up and said, who's smoking marijuana around here? I haven't been in touch with Westmoreland, and I'm supposed to know what's happening. And think I do. Well, nobody is issued an order of any kind. So I came in the next morning and I said, here's a statement. I want you to put it at your 11 o'clock briefing. No order's been issued. There's no change in the situation. This man has the authority he's always had. And we're not directing anybody into combat. But if anybody needs to combat, they're ready and they'll be prepared to give an account of themselves. So I issued that statement. Then they wrote the story, great frustration, great difference in opinion. The government right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and Johnson is a dictator. That's what's written. Now, that's the press, and they got 3 stories where they oughtn't have had any. Follow me?
Don't worry about that kind of business.
I'm not worrying. I'm explaining to you so that you on this team,
Right.
your country, and a good many of these boys, I'm told, are Republicans. I don't think they use good judgment in their party, but they have in their country, and they're out there fighting. And I think you ought to know the facts. Now, here's a paragraph, a confidential memo from General Goodpaster, who briefed Eisenhower last night. I met with him 2 hours in his office in Gettysburg. I reviewed with Eisenhower the essential points of Westmoreland's message, setting out his concepts and his analysis for additional needs for U.S. forces in South Vietnam. Of course, that's combat. As requested by the President, I went into full detail and gave him all the matters of how they would be involved, the mobile divisions, and how to provide additional brigades for use in the coastal base area. Now, that's the first 75,000. That's an additional 20,000 we've already ordered in. But he's got requests for a good many more thousands that we haven't acted on. We're not. I'm just getting judgments, and Eisenhower has had a hell of a lot more experience than I have, and very frankly, I get about as good a judgment as from him on these matters. I do from my Joint Chiefs, and he's always careful and always reasonable, and I think highly experienced, and I think more so than my own men got. Eisenhower considered the matter at some length. A first question to consider, he said, is what is the end of all this can be? He commented, we have now, quote, appealed to force, unquote, in South Vietnam, and therefore, quote, we have got to win, unquote. For this purpose, simply holding on or simply sitting passively in static areas is never going to suffice. He added, there's no use building bases if you're not going to protect them and if you're not going to use them. The only reason for creating them is to make it possible to take the offensive and to try to clear as many areas as possible. That's what we did this afternoon. He thought we should not only support Vietnamese forces in action, but he thought that we should undertake offensive operations ourselves. After some further discussion, he indicated that he believed Westmoreland's recommendation should be supported. He was strongly impressed by Westmoreland's